So the stock market was pretty crazy today. I was sad at first, then happy, then sad, then happy, and honestly, I don't know where the stock market ended because it was such a crazy roller coaster. But on today's episode, first we're going to start off with Nvidia. There are some kind of bad news affecting the consumer market at the moment, but then I do have some great news about data centers that just came out today. The second company is Meta Platforms. They're seeing some slowdown in their virtual reality projects, something I want to discuss here. If this is your first time here, make sure to hit the thumbs up, make sure to hit the subscribe button, check out the pinned comment for free Discord, free newsletter, and a lot of great investing links. So let's get started. All right, so let's start off with Nvidia's price action. Like we can see at one point today, I was kind of excited because we were green, a color I haven't seen in such a long time, but then we ended up going back to red. The stock price ended it down about 2.7%. All right, so let's take a closer look at some recent news for Nvidia. They are going to be on Computex, which is going to be a huge kind of conference for the computing market, and we can see on May 23rd they do have a keynote, and they do mention that here they will present how AI is powering the enterprise data center and the latest products and technologies for gamers and creators. So I do believe in this conference we might get some maybe sneak peek on the next generation of graphics cards for Nvidia. This is a few days before their earnings. They do report earnings on May 25th. So like I mentioned earlier today, we have some good news for Nvidia and we have some bad news. First, let's start off with the good news, right? I want to be nice first. So Micron Technologies today reported their analyst days, and they showed this graph that showcase where they see the most growth between now to 2025. And one of the biggest growers they see is the data center market. Right now, the data center market represents about 30% of their total revenue. They expect by 2025 that data center and graphics will be around 42%, driven by secular growth in artificial intelligence and machine learning. Obviously, we know a big player in this space in data centers and graphics is Nvidia. So I do believe this bodes well for the company. They also mentioned that they believe automotive and industrial, and when we think of industrial, we think of automation in the robotics market. And when we think of automotive, we think about autonomous driving and kind of smart vehicles. And this is another market Nvidia is really focusing on. They expect that to continue to grow as it is one of the fastest growing markets right now. So because Micron reported this, I do believe this is kind of a bullish case for Nvidia that enterprises are going to continue to spend a lot of money in data centers, in graphics, in automobile, in industrial kind of infrastructure. Next, maybe what's not so great. They do kind of say, they didn't say that there's going to be a slowdown in PC, mobile, and others, and this is the consumer market. Obviously, Nvidia hits that market, but they mentioned that it's not going to be growing as fast as these other markets, resulting at this being a lower portion of their sales. So if there is a slowdown here, obviously another important player in the consumer market is Nvidia with their consumer graphics cards. So something to keep in mind of. Now let's take a closer look at what I think is maybe not the great news for Nvidia.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video and keep listening for this great offer we have for the community. The Motley Fool is a company that provides investing insight and stock recommendations for investors of all skill sets and risk levels. You all know how much I love researching new stocks and trying to find the next best investments. So I'm proud to partner with The Motley Fool to bring you a discount for one of my favorite services The Fool offers, The Motley Fool Stock Advisor. Go to fool.com/Jose to sign up and get access to a ton of expert stock picks. Every month you'll get 2 new picks that are aimed at growing your wealth and to help you realize your financial goals. Stock Advisor has been a market-beating service. So what are you waiting for? Thanks again for The Motley Fool. Now on to today's points.
So Asus, this is an OEM that creates a lot of laptops, a lot of computers, and other kind of PC products. They warn of PC shipments will drop 10% in Q2. So they expect about 10% in PC shipments, but they expect a decrease of 10 to 15% in graphics cards. And that's where I want to say it doesn't really worry me, but in the short term of things, I believe Nvidia could kind of see more kind of negativity because at the moment they are heavily in consumer products. They are also a huge leader in the graphics market for consumer. So if there is a 10 to 15% slowdown, the one that's going to take the bigger bulk of that slowdown will be a company like Nvidia, unlike its competitors. But kind of going back here to Asus report, they do believe that crypto demand has eased, but gaming demand is still good and prevents more precipitous drop in sales of GPUs. So we see gaming is not going to completely offset crypto demand, but it's enough to kind of create some form of floor for it. All right, so that's enough with Nvidia. Now I want to move on to Meta Platforms. It is reported that they are axing or cutting some Reality Labs projects. And remember, Reality Labs, this is kind of the virtual reality, the augmented reality segment of Meta Platforms. First, I do want to say, I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing. And the reason being is this kind of metaverse push and kind of this virtual reality and augmented reality technologies were still in early stages. So I believe what Meta Platforms probably first did, and this, if I was running a business, I would do it. I would first kind of start different projects, right? And I would kind of see which of these projects getting some initial data, some initial results on technology, and seeing if they are kind of fruitful going further, or should we just cut them off? And I think that's exactly what Meta Platforms did. They kind of tested a lot of projects, a lot of different technologies in the spaces, and now they kind of pinpointed the ones that they want to focus on. So they are cutting off their projects on some of those that maybe might not be the right time to develop right now. For example, one of the things we're seeing a lot is Meta's next project, Cambria, which is like their super advanced virtual reality headsets, one we keep hearing a lot about, where it's going to be something more of a laptop for the face. Some good news here though is even though they are cutting off some projects, it doesn't mean they're necessarily doing layoffs at the moment. So that's great news. And like, again, I do believe it continues with that mindset that at first they were just trying different technologies for different kind of reasons. They see the ones that stick, and now they realize, hey, we don't need to work on these other projects. So let's bring the team back here and let's just focus on the main technology that we want to work on at the moment. I do believe they are kind of freezing on hiring, and this is something that I think investors should kind of keep in mind of and keep an eye on in the upcoming weeks. Maybe we might start to see things like layoffs. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode where we discussed both Nvidia and Meta Platforms. Hopefully this was great insight in the market right now. I hope everybody is doing good, and remember, keep that long-term mentality because eventually things will look okay. So take care, have a good day, and see you next time.